All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode. Yep, it's me, Josh. I'm bringing in the reins this time. TRT Dad's on here, and we have another guest speaker for us today. This is a colleague of mine. This is Mike Belkin. He is based out of Phoenix, Arizona. He owns Men's HealthSpan, does TRT via telehealth. He currently services Arizona, Florida, Colorado, Montana, and Washington. And he does a fantastic job. And we're going to have him on today to talk about TRT in the aging male population, men over the age of 50. I feel like that's something we don't really talk too much about on this podcast. Most of the TRT we're talking about either general knowledge or mostly applying to guys starting, but the majority of those guys are younger, 35 to I'd say 50, kind of in that range. But there is still a good portion of men who are older, maybe 55, 60s, 65, 70. I just had a consult last week with a guy who was 72. That are looking to get on TRT for the benefits, and there's certainly some benefits to that. So let's welcome Mike to the podcast. Mike, how are you?
Oh, doing great, doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. Good to be here. Good to hang with you. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, guys over 50, it's we were talking before we came on about how we don't hear from them a lot. And it could be, they when they do seek out TRT, they're just, they're looking for a provider. They get with someone, they get it done. They're not on the internet going to the forums and watching a bunch of videos and doing a whole, all that extra stuff. And they're just kind of getting it done. So there are, there's still there's quite a few of them out there. And I have a lot of patients who are, are over 50, including myself. I'm 50, going to be 51 in a couple of months here. So it's not too late. It's not too late to start at 50 for
If
sure.
if if
Uh,
if nobody's viewing this, because I don't know if we're uploading this to YouTube, but Mike looks fantastic for 50. So
Yes.
he's in excellent shape. So well done, Mike.
Uh, oh, thanks, man. I'm trying to hold it together. I'm trying to hold it together. And that's part of what I want to talk about here today too. It's a big part of it. I mean, TRT is not all about building muscle and getting great erections. It's not all about. I mean,
Right.
Mhm.
those are great size and great additions, and who doesn't want all that? But it's more about or it's less about looking and feeling 25 again, and
Mhm.
more about not becoming 75 and broken. You want to wake
Right.
up
Right.
at
So
75
so
years
that's
old and
that's
realize
a
you waited too
great
long.
that's a great thing to kind of get us started off on here because I think when we're all looking into TRT, we're looking for the things that we're potentially going to see benefits with. Like as a person that's on TRT, does my mood improve? Does my libido improve? Does my erection improve? But what are some of the things that are going to get better, and especially in the aging male, things we may be looking for that are going to happen that are kind of fall into like a background category, things that we don't really notice, things that we don't see, but are still very important, uh, you know,
Sure.
as we age.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a great setup because one of the biggest things you see is some of these psychological changes, and just improvement. You lift, guys tell me they have the fog's been lifted, they feel more motivated. TRT for, anyone at any age, it makes effort feel good, right? You still have
Yeah.
to put
Yeah.
the effort in, you still have to do the work, but you're doing it now, and it just feels that much better. You're just, you get the momentum going, and you just want to do it. For a lot of people, it's a matter of, hey, we need to make that first step. We get you off the couch. You're in a routine. You come home. You haven't been to you don't go to the gym. You don't have any kind of formal exercise or activity you do. You're 50 years old. You're in your life. You go to work. You come home. Boom, there's your routine, and you're a little bit stuck. You need a little push. So starting something like TRT, it's always nice to make habit changes together. So guys will start, they start taking some hormones. They're getting a reminder when they do their shot or apply their
Right.
cream or however they're taking it. And now they get up off the couch. They start exercising a little bit, even if that means you don't have to become a gym bro and, going to the gym 6 days a week. I'm asking guys for, the bare minimum. I want you to, start taking some walks around the block and do some
Yep.
Yeah.
push-ups and
Yeah.
squats 2 or 3 times per week. If you're starting from zero and you do that, you have a lot of room to work there. I mean, you can see some big changes.
Yeah.
That's a
Pretty
Absolutely.
real,
quickly too.
real important thing. Um, and just not slowing down in general. Guys get into you start getting a little bit older. You feel like you're slowing down at work too. You get your hormones back in line, and now you're back at work too. Now you're getting work done. You're taking care of business. Not falling
Yeah.
asleep on the couch when you get home. You're doing that extra project or getting back to some hobby you like, or, a new one you didn't even know you wanted to do yet. So you get out and you're doing stuff. That's good for the aging brain too, right? You got to stay
Sure.
Right.
stimulated and doing things. So I mean, testosterone and hormone replacement in general isn't just going to fix all this like a magic bullet, but it can sure be a catalyst. It's part of the program and part of the lifestyle.
That's a good way you put that there, where you say it's not the magic bullet, it's the catalyst. I think that's one of the things we kind of echo here, at least on this podcast. At least we have in the past, is that you know we'll talk about bodybuilding, for example. I'll just bring this up. People look at bodybuilders and they go, "Oh, they just take a bunch of steroids." Okay, they might,
Right. Right.
but they overlook the fact that they're in the gym every day and they're putting in effort every day to achieve that physique. Like, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just, I just took, a ton of steroids and I magically have like all these muscles. They still have to put the stimulus in and the work in to get that out of it. They just get more out of it because of the steroids. So
Sure.
in that category, it's like, people still have to use the TRT as a catalyst to achieve the goals that they want. And these are things that, you're going to obviously have your body composition changes, but things that you don't see, like insulin sensitivity via estradiol, better bone density, better endothelial compliance via estradiol on, for cardiac health down the road. And those are things that are especially important for men as they age, because those are going to be some of the things that start to, for the lack of a better word, break down, I guess you could
Sure.
say that, and keep these guys, functioning the same. And I know we were talking about this earlier, as they are at 50, as they are at 60, and as they are at 70 plus, they're
Mhm.
still functioning in a high capacity and able to continue to do what they want. So that's definitely, uh, at least my goals that I'm looking for. Maybe not so much of the physical changes, but the mental and the kind of back end things that are going to promote longevity. We're definitely in it for the marathon for those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no
So
doubt, no doubt. And yeah, the metabolic effects you're talking about too, it goes beyond. That's a good point too. First, I love when people tell me they're afraid they're going to gain too much muscle. Like, oh, I don't want to lift weights. I'm afraid when you get too big.
said no one ever.
Don't worry about it. If that happens, I can help you get rid of it. It's not real hard to.
Yeah.
We'll help you melt that muscle off of there. So it's going to be okay. But going the other way, muscle is metabolic currency. I like to say, right? So I mean,
Good
the more
analogy.
you have, the better you're going to function. I mean, and I'm talking to a limit too. I'm talking about, you maintain the muscle mass of a healthy young man that's in his 20s and 30s. You don't have to be a
Yeah.
huge jack
Yep.
dude if you like that kind of thing. Oh, we could get you there too if you want to try it for that kind of goal. But maintaining what you see in a healthy young guy who's just active and gets stuff done, that's going to get you a long way. Keep keep you from getting insulin resistant. You don't want to get sarcopenic too, right? So sarcopenia
Right.
is age-related muscle loss, and it's a huge problem. That's
It
what
is a
happens.
huge
People get
problem.
old and weak and frail, and now they're too weak to, your reflexes are going to decline as you age too, and now you trip. So now your reflexes are off, and you don't have the muscular strength to hold yourself up and prevent the fall. Down you go. Boom.
Break
Jeez.
a hip.
Bad set of facts. Yeah,
Yep.
so you don't want to be that guy. So if you think ahead a little bit, you're 50. It's maybe not a problem when you're 50, but it might be when you're 70 or 80,
Yeah.
and you're gonna wish you did it. We're all gonna have a setback at some point, whether it's an illness, an injury. You have some sort of trauma. You need a surgery. You end up spending a week in the hospital. You're gonna lose a lot of muscle. You're gonna lose a lot of strength. So if you come in strong, those are the people who leave, right?
Yeah.
You want to leave, not to get,
Yeah.
not to get too dark, but I mean, when I worked, in the ICU, people who would get out of there were the people who came in strong.
Mm.
They had the worst
Yeah.
day of their lives, some traumatic thing happened to them, some awful event or illness. They came in, they were healthy, they were fit. It's unfortunate, but they get out of there. They go home. Maybe they're discharged directly from the ICU instead of going to rehab, or
Yep.
maybe, or worse, right? They got ended up with a celestial discharge because they were too weak to get off a ventilator, and now they're just not
Jeez.
with us anymore.
Yeah.
But you're going to lose. Yeah, you spend a week in an ICU bed, you're going to lose, man, you lose 10, 15 pounds of muscle easy. If you don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that to lose, you're going to be hurting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Yeah, staying healthy and thinking ahead with those kinds of things for sure is
So
it's
I used to
a
work
big deal.
in the recovery room. I worked there for almost 8 years, and obviously we dealt with anything on call, this, that, and the other. So there was one statistic that stuck with me since then, and it was for one of our orthopedists. So we obviously saw a lot of hip fractures. So and we would do TFNs, and nailings, and just kind of like get the hip for intertrochanteric fractures of the hip. We would get them put back. For those of us, I've been told I say these big words. That is where the ball goes into the socket. There's a little thing that attaches to the femur. That's called the the intertroch is the kind of the portion it breaks there, not at the actual femur. So and they put a nail up through into the ball and then down through the femur, and it kind of holds it, and it kind of reestablishes the joint to the ball into the hip. Okay. So he told me this statistic, and it was in individuals over the age of 65, your 1 year mortality rate following a hip fracture over the age of 65 is 25% from the hip fracture.
25%?
You have a 1 in 4 chance of dying from that hip fracture within the first year of having it done.
Holy shit.
So echoing what Mike said, if you come in strong, you'll go out strong, and that's, we always talk about the benefit. One of the benefits of TRT is better bone density via estradiol. If you're low on T, you're low on E. Everybody's like, oh, you got to manage your estrogen, you got to manage your estrogen. No, you don't. We've talked about this ad lib. You do not have to manage your estrogen, and it's incredibly important for maintaining healthy bones. The last thing you want to do is fracture a hip, go down, and next thing you know, like Mike said, you may not even end up, getting out of there. To a nursing home you go, and you're just laying in the bed, the rest of your time. Your muscles wasting away. You can't get that. Nobody wants to end up like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's an excellent point too. Another good reason not to block your estrogen. I'm glad you brought that up. I know you guys aren't fans, and I'm not either. It's just keep your bones healthy, keep it all.
Well, the funny thing is like we keep trying to figure out kind of where all this estrogen nonsense started. And obviously, I think it started in the bodybuilding realm, but how it's like transcended into kind of TRT clinics. And yes, they're adjacent, but they're separate. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people will go on to social media. They'll listen, and they'll be, and there's clinics out there too, and I see it advertised all the time, and they'll be like, we'll give you testosterone, we'll give you DECA, we'll give you oxandrolone, we'll give you all this stuff. And it's like, you don't need any of that stuff. You just need testosterone. You're not need to run a mini cycle at 60 years old. That's not the plan. But
hopefully people aren't Googling what those clinics are right now. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't take all that crap.
I just had a guy that was on Anavar for a little bit, and he told me, and it's a long story, but I was like, we got to do labs, and they are jacked. They're so screwed up.
HDL of 7 and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, SHBG was 4.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I mean, it just ate it up for lunch. So like obviously, we had to have the discussion about that, and he was fine. Like, but that's sort of like the hidden thing that people don't realize. They're like, oh, you just got to check your liver, this, that, and the other. And then it's more than that. And again, we always talk, hey, this is the marathon. That's not the sprint. You don't need those steroids at 60 years old to achieve realistic results. They're going to screw up more than they're going to solve. And sometimes it's really hard to fix once you screw up something so much, right? If you push that pendulum too far in the one direction, like, cool, great, you look great. You would have gotten there eventually anyway, with just testosterone just taking a little bit more time and maybe a little bit more effort on your behalf. But now we're working from behind the 8 ball because everything's out of whack. And now we have to spend a lot of time getting that fixed, and we can't. So that's always kind of problematic. And I think people don't understand that too much. They focus too much on the physical aspects and not so much of everything else that's happening. But that tends to be how society is nowadays, unfortunately.
I got a question for both of you guys. What is the oldest patient that you have, and what have you seen with them as far as the results that they've gotten? Or I guess with Josh, we'll start with you.
My oldest patient, I'm actually, it's funny you say that. I'm looking him up right now because I don't know how old he is off the top of my head. I think he's 78 currently.
Okay.
Um, have I had older patients in the urology office? Yes, but the oldest patient that I'm currently treating for TRT is 78. But I would take a 99-year-old guy if he
Yeah.
came into my office.
But
So,
I'm saying since that guy started, what has he seen? Have you seen or has he had,
oh my,
what's the
yeah.
difference that,
He's I mean he was a good 78, right? He was a pretty strong 78 coming in. And we've only had him on now for 6 months.
Mhm.
I will say that I don't push the limit with those men as much as maybe I would push it in maybe like a younger guy. So I don't get them to, extremely high levels. Um, you know, high still being, kind of relative to where I want it to be. I may be a little bit more conservative on those guys, but still achieving, if we have a free T of 5, I'm still getting their free T to like 20 plus, right?
Right.
So they're still making really good benefits, but we're not going to push the envelope and go, hey, we're taking your free T to 30 or something like that. So on those, I am a little bit more, because the thing here is when they come in that old, I also don't know like how good their coronary arteries are, or like what they've done for the past 30 plus years to kind of
Yeah.
end up like that. And the last thing I want to do is be like, well, you have this testosterone level and it's 1500 and they had a heart attack, so it was your fault.
Yeah. Right.
Even though that's not the case, but from a medical legal standpoint, you still have to be a little bit
Was he
cognizant.
noticed a difference in the 6 months that he's been doing it?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
He's like, I can go on walks. My joints don't hurt, anymore. When I walk, like I can get out there and do this. And he's starting to do some resistance training, which is
Good.
awesome. So 78-year-old guys is like now picking up some weights and doing some resistance training. He's lost a little bit of weight, not much.
Hmm.
But I think it's mostly just composition changes. We're losing a little bit of fat. We're gaining a little bit of lean mass. And yeah, he's like, I feel wonderful. Like this is amazing. And it's just crazy that it's been gate kept for so long, where
Yeah.
it's sort of like, he's getting out of it. He's has the energy now. He's trying to make the most of it. He wants to go into his 80s as best as he can.
Sure.
And
What
so
about you,
that's what I've
Mike?
been
Do you,
seeing.
do you have, what's your oldest patient? And
Yeah. No, I have a couple interesting ones. I have a guy he's 82 years old. He's stopped using his cane
Oh
over
man, that's awesome.
yeah, after a year on TRT, he stopped using his cane. To be fair, though, he did have, I can't take full credit for it. And he's doing the work here too, right? It's not the TRT and it's not it's not my treatment plan that did it. He's motivated. He's doing what he's doing. So he was a former, he said he played football when he was younger. He's even a bodybuilder when he was younger, but now he's 82 years old. So it's been years since he's done any of this stuff. So maybe he had some muscle memory in there still. Maybe there's a little something else, but he started off doing chair squats at home just to kind of rebuild some strength.
Nice.
And he got stronger. He doesn't use his cane. He goes on small hikes. He's not doing any crazy treks or anything, but he's getting out more. He's traveling more, having less pain, just feeling better in general. It's interesting because he takes a really tiny dose and he does it daily. So 10
Okay.
milligrams a day injection is what he does. We tried higher. He didn't like. He feels like he's overstimulated,
Okay.
and he feels good. His levels are decent. He has kind of some mid-range levels. I think his total, even his tonal T isn't super high. It's like 15 or 16, but he feels good. He feels
yeah.
good, and he's
Okay.
back. He's back to it. So I think it was one of the things too. It kind of rolled into and remotivated him to start moving again. So he's getting more. He's getting exercise. He's doing his thing. Um, and that's not an uncommon thing to see. There's some research too that shows you can be pretty old and they add on some exercise and you get some strength, a little bit
Mhm.
of muscle back, and you're back to taking care of business.
Yeah.
Right.
Even some of those like heart failure patients on TRT, they're adding like an extra 54 meters to their 6 minute walk time or whatever it might be, whatever that metric was. But some big amount where it's a difference between you can get out and do stuff versus you're stuck at home just kind of waiting to die. So yeah, so he's an
Right.
he's an he's an interesting character. Yeah, so no more cane for him.
That's
I think
cool.
my next oldest patient behind him is 78.
Okay.
And this was a guy who he just exercised his whole life and he just kind of slowly felt like he was declining. And it's too bad because he describes it as being like the last 20 years he felt like he was just slowly slipping. So I wish he
Uh-huh.
would have checked in with someone sooner.
Yeah.
Right.
but he's feeling better, right? Same thing. He's watching his diet a little bit more. He was on some tirzepatide and lost a little bit of body fat, and that combination with the testosterone, he's feeling really good too.
Good.
Awesome.
Josh, do you ever talk to you guys about getting CAC, like coronary artery calcium scores, that kind of thing?
So I know about them. I generally don't. I'll talk about them, but it's something that like I'm like you got to go through your primary
Yeah.
channels to have that done. It's not something that I would manage there. And if they get it done, and some of them have them, and I just have them forward them on, but I don't have a particularly I would say like elderly clinic. I
Yeah.
have maybe half a dozen to a dozen guys that are probably 65 plus. So the majority of my clinic is probably like 40 to 50, somewhere in that range.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
Part of the reason I say that too, this could be my PSA for your show. I any of my guys over 40,
uh-huh.
I tell them to go get it. I mean, it'll cost you, if your insurance won't pay for it, it's going to cost you $100. If they do, sometimes they'll pay for half of it, sometimes all of it. But you can get some interesting cases. You find some stuff in there you weren't looking for. At 40 years old, you want to score a zero. If you have a non-zero
Right.
score, you probably need to dig a little bit more. And this calcium score for people who aren't in the field, it's a non-contrast CT scan. It's a special scan of the heart, and it looks for calcified plaque in your coronary arteries. So it's not perfect. It doesn't show soft plaque. It doesn't show zero risk if your score is zero. But if you have something in there, it's good to know, and maybe you need to do something about it.
Right.
But I've had a couple of guys in their 40s. They find something in there, and if nothing else, it's a motivation to, hey, I need to clean up my act and do something a little
Right.
bit different. And sometimes it's just genetics, and it was going
Yeah.
to happen anyway. It doesn't matter. You're doing all the right things. But if this
Right.
guy's also smoking and he's overweight and he's not exercising and all these other things, like, hey, man, it's a time to pay attention, because you're just going to get more and more of that until you have your cardiac event. So
Yeah.
Right.
pay
Right.
attention. Pay
I think that
attention.
we could definitely relate that to all the synthetic androgen users to make sure that they look into that too, potentially at a younger age as
Oh,
well.
sure.
You
Yeah, if
know,
you're messing with your lipids that bad, you're elevating your LDL and crushing your
right.
HDL with all your oral androgens
Your
and the
17
like.
AAs. Yeah.
Not a good look. Now might seem like it's worth it now, but yeah, there's a better, smarter, longer game to play there, without a
Hun-
doubt, without a doubt.
100%.
Yeah. So I got a
100%.
question for as you get older, do we still focus on the numbers being like, would it be normal to give like a guy who's in his 80s 180 or 200 megs a week? Or do we start to come down as we age?
You can. I mean, you could give them 180. I don't, because the higher the dose is, the more physiological risk you have for some of the odd things that can happen from
Okay.
having more androgens on board. So, like, for example, testosterone can cause palpitations.
Sure.
Okay. So it can. Okay. So I don't want to give an 85-year-old palpitations
Right.
and, or throw them into AFib or something like that, So I am a little bit more conservative because, I mean, let's face it, we're dealing with 80-year-old parts.
Yeah.
So, I am a little bit more conservative. Now, we still dose. Could you put an 80-year-old on that? Yeah, sure. Right. If we've started lower and he's like, I feel better, but and everything looks okay and he feels okay and there doesn't seem to be any outward problems, then yeah, we can bump it. Nothing in this realm is set in stone, and we can pivot
Yeah.
on a dime. I obviously still treat till symptom resolution,
Hmm.
but you often find too that these older men don't necessarily need to achieve some of these higher values that I'm seeing in younger men to get the same thing out of it.
Right.
Okay. I can have a little bit less free tea and they're like, I feel great.
Hmm.
Maybe some of that's generational,
Mm.
like, because that type of generation is a little bit more stoic. So for
Sure.
them, really just not feeling complete awful is good enough,
Right.
because I don't have a magic crystal ball that I can measure, on a piece of paper of like how well they feel. I can measure their lab, I can measure their blood pressure, I can measure, things that I can objectively get, but subjectively, what they tell me is ultimately what they're experiencing on a daily basis. So
Mm.
if they're like, I feel great, then mission accomplished. We're done.
Yeah. I just
So
thought of that when Mike was saying that the guy does 10 MIGs a day. So that would be like 70 for the week. And I was just wondering, I'm like, I wonder
Pretty
if when
low.
you get older, you're just
yeah,
like, you don't need as much, you know? So that's why I was just asking.
Yeah, like I said, in my experience, it's been men just they don't need to have a free T of 30 or 40 to feel really good. You know, if you took
Mhm.
somebody from 5 and moved them to 15 or 20, they're generally like, yeah, I feel pretty good. You know, they're not going out and playing flag football
Right.
for the most part, right? They're just like, yeah, made it through the grocery store, did good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a good point. I mean, and partly, I think it depends upon where they're starting from too. You get a guy who's come
right.
to you now, and it's been, you know, his hormones have just been slowly crashing over 20 years, and he's been feeling bad for that long. Yeah, you give him a little bit of a boost. It's, you know, it's easy work. You make him feel better with just about anything.
Yeah.
Whereas you get a young guy, his levels are mid-level, and you know, free T is just a little low. And you correct that a little bit, like might be like, you know, maybe I feel better. I don't know.
Right.
You know, I do have a guy. How old is this guy? I think he's 72. I'd have to look to see for sure, but he's on 200 milligrams a week. He
Okay.
Okay.
he has a history of misusing some anabolics earlier in his you know, earlier
Mhm.
days, maybe I think even like as recent as 10 years before that.
Wow.
Then he stopped
Mm.
for a while, and that could be just some, you know, his body just kind of used to this a little bit and needs a little higher dose to kind of match what, you know, what his body's seen before. But he tolerates it fine. He tolerates it fine. But same thing, I like to go slow with the older guys with the, you know, with the testosterone, with the thyroid too, especially like with the, you know, the desiccated thyroid. You don't want to give someone some palpitations,
Right.
and that
Jack
rolls
their
into
free
something
Jack their
bigger.
free T3 to like 5.
Yeah, yeah, they won't be feeling good. They end up in the ER and everyone's mad at you. Yeah,
So
so
Right.
you need to go slow with it, but it's individual for sure.
Yeah.
is there like an age? So what would be like what's the age do you think that do you start to think about maybe starting these guys out slower? Is it like 65 or is it just based off of individual?
I think it's more the biological age than the chronological age.
I
Okay.
would agree.
I get
And
it.
where your starting point is too, right? Like
Sure.
if you're a healthy 60, you know, and you're like, I'm having these symptoms now, or 65. Yeah, I mean, we can start you as if you're 45, right? And we'll continue that on because, you know, it's not the chronological age, it's
Hmm.
you know where we're at physiologically at that time.
Yeah, and that kind of goes across the ages too. I mean, I tell guys too, you know, you don't want to, if you're putting trying to put jet fuel in your 1990 Toyota Tercel, it's not gonna, what do you think is gonna happen here?
That that
Gonna
You
blow
know,
the
if you have
doors
this,
off of
yeah,
it.
if you have
that
this,
that hits home, Mike.
right? You know, it's just not gonna go. It's not what you need to do. It's not the first step. Yes, you have some guy who's already dialed in, you know, but he's just been sliding a little bit. He's been healthy, like, hey, I've been going to the gym my whole life and all this other stuff. He eats great, he's sleeping good, he's not drinking, doing drugs, all this other stuff. He's gonna tolerate it maybe better than a 30-year-old.
Right.
Yeah.
It really depends.
Yeah.
Hmm. And did the older guys get all of the same things like with the libido and everything too?
Mhm.
So I would
Yeah.
imagine a libido, if my libido is like it is now when I'm 80, my wife better be on HRT. It's like,
I had this discussion with Dana the other day, and it's interesting, right? We had an elderly woman come in, and we put her on HRT, and the discussion was like, do you put a woman that age, like, do you do HRT? Because I think she's like in her mid 70s,
mhm,
okay, mid to late 70s. And I just got to thinking to myself, like, okay, if we started a woman, or let's just even say a guy, if we started them on testosterone or we started my HRT in 50 and they get to that age, are we going to just magically stop them
right.
because they hit that age? No, like they're going to continue on doing that therapy because they've been doing it for so long and they're
Hmm.
doing really well. So, you know, it's not something that you're just like, oh, you know, you're dead. Guess you got to give it up. See you later. You know,
Yeah.
can't do it. 74, 75. You've aged out of here. Sorry.
Hmm.
So yeah, Dana and I had a conversation about that. Um, and then it was like, okay, that makes sense.
I'd be interested to talk to a guy that's older and ask them about the libido and what you do and how you, because unless your wife is, I mean, like people in their 40s have issues. Like, I mean, my wife, until she started HRT, wasn't, and I was on TRT, it was like a struggle, you know? I was ready to go and she was like, we did it yesterday. I was like, so? I was like, that was yesterday. You know, it was like, you know, so until she got going and as she like she is now.
I have
Um,
a, I have a good question here for you, Mike. In older men, do you have a preferred route that you like to use for your testosterone administration? For example, a lot of my older guys, they prefer topicals, they prefer
Yeah.
creams, and they don't want to do injections. And I'm fine with that. I mean, obviously, I use cream. It's not a big part of my clinic, but they're the only things we offer is injectables and topicals, and a compounded cream. We don't use gels or anything like that because they're terrible. Um, but I do find that uh, cream tends to work better in older guys, specifically if they have libido and or erectile issues. And
hmm.
that's been my own experience in my own clinic. What's your take on that?
Yeah, same. I think if you're going to make a, a generalization about it, I think cream for an older guy is going to work a little bit better. It seems like you get a little more DHT out of it. It's going to give
Yeah,
you a little more libido boost. It starts working a little bit faster too. And the convenience of doing it, a lot of them seem to prefer it. But yeah, number one, we have a talk with these guys. It has to be the thing they're going to do, right? Because I
right.
like to tell people to do cream, transcrotally, put it on,
Yep.
put a
Hmm.
scrotal application. Um, if it's a hard stop there, like, man, I'm not putting cream on my balls. Just not doing it. I had a guy tell me that. He's like, all right. It's like, well, you know what? We're not going to waste time on that. It's something, I know it sounds weird. We can revisit if you ever get tired of poking yourself with a needle, but
Right.
that's fine. We're moving on. But I think it gets back to the same thing too with, I think the worse shape someone is in,
Mm.
the better cream works. So you get some guy, we're back to that, the jet fuel and the Tercel kind of thing.
Right.
Maybe
Hmm.
the cream seems to hit a little bit gentler. I don't know if it's the short half-life and the way it works like that, or
Right.
it just seems to, um, yeah, it seems like people will have less adverse effects if they're uh, not as physically well and they're using
Yeah.
cream.
I did
That
have
makes
one guy whose blood pressure went bananas on cream at
Hmm,
only 150 milligrams, but
interesting.
I think he had some underlying hypertension that was just never diagnosed. This guy comes from, we'll say, the plain community. So I live in an area that has some Amish Mennonite types of
Hmm,
people. This guy wasn't Amish. We would call maybe German Baptist or whatever. So, um, wife in the household still wears the garb, the bonnet type thing and the kind of plain dresses. They usually drive all black cars. They can't have cars that have any color. Um, but they work normal jobs, right? Vet offices, this guy drives a truck, you know, um, but I put him on a cream and blood pressure, but I think he
hmm.
had some underlying issues that kind of got exposed because of that. Even
Yeah.
though his pressure was normal at my visit, he was like, I have a headache, and then he's going to check in it, and turns out so now he's fine, he's managed, and
Hmm.
he was wanting to give up like 4 or 5 weeks in, and I'm like, don't give up yet.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to get some benefit. He just came back in for his 10 week, but we had been all kind of off and on over that time frame. So, but
Interesting.
So if you're on TRT and then say it's me, I've been on it since 43. So when I'm 70, would I switch to creams? Will it still be as effective? Like what you were saying?
you don't have to. I mean, you can
Yeah.
stay
But I
on
mean, could
injections.
you like do
You
that
could
then?
you could
Yeah.
do it at any time. You could do it now if you wanted to.
Yeah, but it's not, doesn't it have, it seems like the majority of the guys I talk to seem that they were on the cream, then they switch to injections and say the injections definitely more effective
I
than,
think in younger men, it does, in my experience, tends to be a little bit more controllable with the injectables versus the
mm,
creams. And the reason I always bring this up, and this is, I'll give you the quick and dirty as to why I don't really like creams and younger guys. Couple reasons. One, you have to apply it twice a day. Has a 14-hour half-life.
mm,
Overlapping that half-life in a day can be kind of challenging for some people. And as Mike was saying, like a lot of these guys are like, I don't really want to put that in my balls twice a day.
yeah,
So they'd rather just be like, poke, see you later, on with the day. The second thing I have to worry about in these guys is they have kids still. So
right.
I have to worry about transference. Now, okay, sure, you're going to be like, well, he's putting on his balls. Like, who's touching him down there? It still gets on their clothes. So if they take their laundry off and they're
Hmm.
throwing it into the laundry and their wife picks it up, or their kids touch it or whatever, because it's just laundry, right? It can transfer to them. So these are things that you have to be aware of. And, you're like, well, okay, women get testosterone. Yeah, guys' concentration of testosterone is 10 times more than that of a
Right.
female. So, a little bit of that goes a long way. And when your
What
wife
about
grows a mustache. So
To be careful with the pets too. Pets
yeah,
love
that's very
what do
true.
pets love? They'll go for your socks and your underwear too. So you
Yeah.
have
Yep.
your sweaty underwear with your testosterone
So what if
cream on.
you
Next
had
thing you know,
like
your dog is looking a little more jacked.
Jack.
Careful.
It starts biting, ripping the couch apart.
It's getting a little aggressive.
Yeah. What about people like me, Josh, that like work? So I'm outside at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you wouldn't like
Sweating
somebody in
and-
your profession, because
Yeah.
you're a contractor and you're working and you're sweating a lot.
So my
Probably
boots
not
would be filled with testosterone cream.
yeah, you'd have like a swole foot,
My feet would be jacked.
you'd have like toe muscles. Uh, but no, so, I mean, those are things that you have to think
Yeah.
about. So I think the injections just fit lifestyles more.
Yeah.
At
Yeah, I
this
think you're right
age.
for sure. The older guys are probably more likely to be more compliant with the cream. They have some more time in their day. They're
Yeah,
more likely
right.
to be working or not working at all and have the
Yeah,
time to do it.
retired
So I'm
and-
with you. I'm with
yeah.
you there.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense.
So that's my primary driver for that, because it's not that creams don't work. They work great. And sometimes they even work a little bit better than injections, but the case use basis for it makes it where it's like,
Yeah.
for people with active lifestyles that are younger, that have families, that are
Yeah.
working, that are that.
Yeah,
and
the
like Mike
timing can
said,
be tough. The time I had a guy, he's telling me his schedule and he's like, well, where do I fit this in here? I get up, I want to go to the gym. I'm going to do a heavy routine where I sweat and then I shower and then I'm on with my day. And before I know it, it's 11 o'clock. When do I do this with if I'm going to use cream? So it could be a
Yeah.
little bit tricky. It
Yep.
can be a little bit tricky. I don't think the sweating part is as huge a deal as long as you at least give it enough time to dry a little bit.
Hmm.
And there's even a little bit of thought like maybe the sweating and extra heat might even help it absorb a little bit more. So maybe what you
Open
lose
the
from
pores
sweating
a
it
little
off,
bit.
you actually absorb a little bit more, and it's kind of a wash.
I guess your
But-
pores open up a little bit when you
Yeah, but then
kinda do
I
that.
mean, checking the levels is the only way to know, and that makes it a
Right.
little bit tricky. If you're giving yourself an injection, it's in there. That you put it
Yeah.
in there. It's not
Right.
sweating out of there. It's not going to be a thing.
Well, that's
I even
good
have
to know.
so I know this is kind of a new, relatively new too. I actually have two guys in their 60s who were using Kaisertrex.
I was going to
oral-
ask you about that, so I'm glad you're bringing this up. So
Yeah.
carry
And-
on.
and they like it
Okay.
right? They're using I think part of the problem here might be a lot of people have digestive issues and you're
Okay.
taking an oral medication and you're not taking it right because you're supposed to take it with a little bit of fat. It's absorbed through the lymph system,
Right.
but it's still going into your gut. So if you have someone who has some sort of GI issue, is that the medication just not working that well? That could be it. I mean, we see all that with nutrients all the time, so it could be part of it. I also think a lot of people just aren't taking a high enough dose, right? So the max dose of this stuff is 400 milligrams twice per day, at least
Right.
on label, and it's kind of expensive. So
Right.
who takes that amount? These two guys, they're in their 60s, they have a nice income. They don't want to put gel, they want to put cream on their scrotums, they don't want to poke themselves. Or the one guy just got tired of poking himself. Actually, he's like, you know what, can we try something new? And
Yeah.
he didn't like the cream idea. But they're both, they both have some pretty nice levels. I think the free teas were 20 and 28 respectively,
Wow.
and they both feel
Wow.
good.
What's
More
the,
importantly, they feel great. They're like, hey, this is working for me.
I got to do some more research on this, and this is actually on my docket for the latter half of the year. I have some other things I'm trying to focus on, but I did want to research more of the orals. I think this market will it'll gain traction, I think, because of this ease to use. So obviously we have Kaisertrex, Tlando, Jatenzo. Those are our three currently FDA marketed oral testosterone and dequinates. So the long acting esters. So Kaisertrex is what, twice a day dosing?
It is.
It's like 200 milligrams or 400 milligrams either
Yeah,
dose.
I think
right?
I've seen it available in I think 100 milligram caps and 200 milligram caps.
Okay.
But both of these guys have taken the 400 milligrams twice per day.
So what's do you know the half-life of that off the top of your head? If you don't, it's no big deal.
I don't.
I'm assuming if you take it twice a day, it's probably fairly short for being
Yeah.
a longer ester. I was just curious.
Yeah, and we could kind of guess a little bit too, because I know when the the presentations I've seen on when they recommend testing for a peak, they're talking about testing about 4 to 5 hours after.
Right.
Right. So it's probably pretty close to what you're seeing with a cream then, because you're kind of getting that same kind of, if you look for a peak level with a cream, you're usually somewhere around there too. So it's probably pretty close to, maybe you're getting like what does that put you at?
Yeah.
6 hours or something like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. It says Kaiser Trek has a 2-hour half-life.
There's only two. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a 2-hour. It's a
interesting.
2-hour effective half-life, but
Hmm.
then it has a terminal elimination half-life of 18 to 24 days.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
that's the oral testosterone and
Hmm.
declinate. Interesting. So
And and that actually makes sense now too, because some of the arguments I've seen with it, people would say too, hey, with the way the half-life is, you probably have to take this stuff 3 or 4 times a day for it to be effective.
right.
So I've seen that argument. So that jives there.
Yeah, I wonder too, though. I mean, you could potentially mimic more circadian rhythm based testosterone spikes with the
Sure.
oral versus, not, because now you're having this increase and this fall off and this increase and this fall off, where we have, a couple spikes per day from LH, surging to boost our testosterone. Yeah. But I mean, hey, if you're getting good results and they feel good, I think really,
That's the bottom
the
line. They're feeling
seat of your
good.
pants feel is really what we're all after here. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's
Yeah.
definitely something on the docket that I want to look more into, just to get more knowledge on my own base for that. So
Yeah. I've only had them, they've only tested so far kind of that peak,
okay.
like 4-ish hours after they took it. I'd be curious to see if we waited, right before the next dose kind of thing, and more of like a trough level, and see.
You should next time
how
you do
low it
that,
really
you
goes.
should do it and then let me know.
Okay, yeah, I'll let you know.
I'm curious. I like to add that to the data
I-
bank. So
I'm sure it'll come up, because I told these guys the same thing. I mean, when we check the labs, I don't mind so much, as long as we can correlate it. Pay
Sure.
attention to when you took your meds, so we can see what we're talking about.
right.
And you can kind of guesstimate a little bit.
Yeah, I try to get troughs, but
ways.
it doesn't always work out that way with scheduling. So
No.
Yeah,
you just have to know, like, when did you give your shot,
yeah,
and how long ago, was your blood work from that shot, and then
Yeah.
like you said,
sure.
it just
And sometimes people remember. Sometimes like, man, I don't know. I think I took it. I don't remember.
yeah. It's like you dosed Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You had your labs on Monday. Was it before or after your shot? I don't know.
Mm.
Like, well, because sometimes
that's
like
right.
their trough
Sometimes you have
levels
a day
are still
like that.
1,000.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Right.
the day goes like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Well, I mean, we've been, this is like an hour and a half we've been going. So
Dang. All
Oh
right.
man, time
yeah, so-
flies, man.
exactly. Well,
Good
listen,
chatting with you guys.
so, I mean, look, at any age, right? I mean, that's what so if you have,
Yeah,
dads or brothers or uncles that are older, and, this is, tell them about TRT. Obviously, I mean, it helps with, mainly it's the young guys. That's what you hear about. But I mean, why should these, older guys, I mean, why shouldn't it help them too?
Right.
yeah, guys. Your point earlier, Matt, too. You were saying, hey, it's about to be a holiday weekend here. Well, I don't know when this will go out, too, but
Yeah.
assuming
Yeah.
there'll be another holiday coming either way,
Sure.
even if it's not out before this next one.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're out, you're gonna see your family, you're gonna
Yep.
see your friends. Yeah, it's
Bring it
talk
up.
about it. It's good. We're talking about your long-term health and
Yeah. I mean, because
getting out there for
doesn't
sure.
a lot of, I mean, I've heard of this. I mean, I don't know, Mike, if you've seen this too. A lot of guys start TRT and end up kicking all their medication or some of their medication that they're on. I mean, so how can that not be beneficial for them?
Oh yeah, yeah. Polypharmacy. Let's get. I love to see things deprescribed. Get rid of one of one couple blood pressure medications or something
Absolutely.
for diabetes, and yeah, it happens all the time. It's great. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, for
that's
sure.
great.
I mean, yeah, you want to age. You want to age gracefully, right? You
Sure.
want to get the most out of our time here. I mean, for me, I think about how I want to go out, and I want to be as functional and independent as I can for as long as I can.
Yeah.
Maybe just stay just dangerous enough to be a problem,
Right.
not
Yeah.
to be a criminal or a tough guy or something, but it'd be
Right.
nice to be 90 years old and a cause for alarm still.
Yeah.
Right? People are
Still
like,
be
oh, I
able
don't
to
want
do
to.
some push-ups and stuff.
Like, yeah, I'm not gonna, man. I don't want to mug that 90-year-old. I don't know what's going to happen there.
That's
That kind
right.
of thing. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, and then, right, yeah, and then maybe when it's done, you go jump in the volcano or whatever it is. But at least you can get to the volcano because
That's right. You can climb it
you
yourself. You
took
don't
care
need
of
any help.
yourself. Yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt, no doubt.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I think I agree, Mike. I think if we're gonna try to get this out as soon as we possibly can before the holiday.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, everyone's got either a dad, a brother, an uncle, a neighbor, somebody that's older, somebody that may not be in great health. Bring it up to them. I mean, what's the worst that they say no? Well, I mean, at least you tried.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
for the guys that say yes or even look into it, I mean, they're going to be a
Yeah,
whole
it could
new
change your
life.
life.
Yep, whole new exactly. It's going to be they can ride out the rest of their years instead of just sitting on the couch waiting. They can go out in style. So I think we all deserve that.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, Mike, listen, it was a great conversation. We definitely want to get you back.
Yeah,
Sometime we'll
definitely.
reach out. I know you
Yeah,
were
let's do
talking
it.
about nutrition and stuff. So next time, what we'll do
That's
is
what I was
let's
gonna
just
say.
jump into the
Yeah,
nutrition aspect of it because that's overlooked by everybody. I mean, as
Yep.
much as we
you're
talk
gonna
TRT,
you're gonna have to shut me up and cut me off. That'll turn into a 7-hour one real
no,
fast.
that's good. They
No, it's
need it.
good.
We'll
It's
break
good.
it
It's
into
good
7
information.
different
Get out the hook.
podcasts. I mean, that's unfortunate. Like people will jump into the game, either TRT or even just, even if they're just weight training and doing something, and then they're like at Burger King and all that, and you're just like,
Yeah.
you don't realize what you've just done. You've just destroyed the entire day just by doing that. Like, oh no, well, it's a cheat day. I'm like, yeah, well, you can't cheat days 4 days a week. Like, it's
Every day is a cheat day.
right. Or cheat meals. I'm like, no, dude, you've had like 3 days worth of sodium in one thing. It's like that's
Oprah's
not.
giving out them cheat days.
Yeah,
You get
right.
a cheat day.
Yeah,
And you
everyone
get
gets a
day.
cheat day. So, yeah, Mike, I think that would be great if we could get you back
Yeah, let's do it.
and
Let
go
me know.
down the nutrition aspect of it because that supersedes TRT and everything else. I mean,
Yes, it
even if
does.
you're just, out and about and you're just, I think everyone can learn something and change their ways to help with the nutrition to feel better
Yeah.
for sure. So,
Yeah. There's some cool meds coming down the pike, but we're not there yet. But for now, TRT and nutrition and exercise is what we
yeah,
have.
that's what we got. It's all we got for now until we can, they just give us something and it just falls off while you sleep. But until then, we're going to have to sweat, unfortunately. So, all right, Mike. Well, listen, like I said, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'm going to get this edited and sent out and enjoy your holiday weekend.
Yeah, you too,
Josh,
guys.
enjoy your holiday weekend. Or no, you know what, Josh? Maybe talk to you tomorrow, right? You might do another podcast maybe. Or no, you're going away.
I'm going away.
All
Yes,
right.
I won't be around.
Everyone enjoy
tomorrow,
their
but
holiday weekend. All right.
Thank
4th of
you,
July.
you too.
We'll be back next week. And happy birthday, America.
Yep. Real quick before you go, Mike,
Yep.
where can we find you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you can find me. You can email me, mike@menshealthspan.com. If you just Google Men's Health Span, I think I should pop up pretty quick there. I'm pretty light on the social stuff. I need to pick that stuff up too, but it's
Yeah,
all
it's
at Men's
tough.
Health Span. It's just looking a little blank these days. I need to get my niece and nephew to help me.
There
I
you
kind of get going on that thing. But yeah, mike@menshealthspan.com. Let me know anyone has any questions. You want to
And what
talk?
states
If
do
you want to do a
you
consult.
service again, Mike?
Oh, sure. It's Arizona, Florida, Colorado, Washington, and Montana.
Beautiful. All right,
Good.
man.
Yep.
It was a pleasure
All right.
having you on. Thanks
Awesome,
so much.
guys. Yeah, it was fun.
Good
Good talking with you.
conversation, guys. I appreciate it. Enjoy your holiday and we'll talk soon.
All right. See you
See you,
guys.
boys.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Yep.